Well, we arrived in Edinburgh not yesterday, the day before, and we had to wait for our bikes to clear customs, and that was yesterday. So we left our place of residence where we're staying at Ibis, which is close to the airport. And at about noon, we drove to the airport at the cargo bay to pick up the bikes. Took us a while because Andrew had to take everything off them and reattach the battery and put everything back on and um, get ready to go. So, and then we basically just got on the bikes, drove to this space, parked our bikes right here, and just a little parking lot right there in front of where the van is. And uh, had to go and find a screw that was missing from the motorcycle from transporting it. So it looked like that probably when we transport on the airplane, a little screw that is part of the battery attachment had fallen off. So we had to go and find a place that we could get that. And that took about an hour or so. And in the meantime, we went also to get something to eat. And then we came back to our hotel room at around 6 o'clock. And the bikes had been covered in the bike bags. What are they called, Andrew?
Covers.
Yeah, just the basic covers. So we covered them, tied them down pretty tight because it was windy out and it was raining a little bit. So we covered them really well. Also, we figured they're out of sight then. You don't see the beautiful colors of the bikes. And we went inside and we pulled out our dinner and we sat down to eat. And about 15 minutes after we sat down to eat, one of the men who was sitting beside us said, "Hey, are those your bikes out there?" And we said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, someone's knocking them down." So we looked, and sure enough, there were 4 men. 2 men were grabbing off the covers off the bikes, but they had been tied underneath. So one guy was down on the ground. He was trying to undo it. And one of the covers got off. They were attempting the other one. By the time we flew out of the restaurant, of the foyer, of the lobby, and we yelled at everybody, like, come on, come on. They're stealing our bikes. And we ran out to where the bikes were, and 4 of them, balaclavas, 2 electric motorcycles that they had driven here on. So 2 to do the dirty job and get their escape route, 2 to ride our bikes off and 2 to ride their bikes off. Obviously, they had planned it well. And we just started screaming and yelling at them in their face. We weren't going to let them get away with our bikes. So we just were right in their face, right around the motorcycles, yelling at them, screaming at them, calling them every name of profanity that we could muster. I think I was like a mad woman. One of the men said, "Boy, you've got a potty mouth." But the 2 men that came with us, were big, and they were one of them's a rugby player, and so we had backup for sure. And I think that the fact that 2 white-haired seniors basically verbally came out and attacked them, and weren't going to let them go, and that we had backup behind us. I don't really know what they were doing because I couldn't see, and I was just like seeing red and just yelling at them. I remember the guy's eyes behind the balaclava because I was looking right in his face. And Andrew and I were, I think they were just so shocked in a way. They dropped their tools and they were yelling at us and telling us, "You're lucky, you're just lucky." And we said, "No, you're lucky, you're lucky." And as they drove off, still yelling at them, still calling them, all kinds of names. We thwarted them. But it was this close. Seriously, it was this close of having our bike stolen the first day that we get them here. Seriously. Like they'd only been here maybe 3 hours. And we didn't ride around, with the motorcycles. We actually just rode them down the road and into the parking lot. It took maybe, how many minutes, Andrew? 10 minutes?
Yeah.
At the most, 10 minutes to drive here from the airport. The airport's right there. So needless to say, it was really hard to eat our supper after that. We were so pumped up in adrenaline, so angry, and just so kind of shocked to think, like, what if they took the bikes? there goes everything. The little shits. So that's the story. So we live to have another day on the bikes. And from now on, I tell you what, we are not going to leave our bikes out of sight. And even though people say Scotland's safe, we're going to make sure we bring the bikes in. They actually didn't let us bring the bikes in until we basically said, we're bringing the bikes in. We're bringing the bikes in. Like Andrew said, he was just going to say, well, call the police. Like, we're bringing the bikes in. So they opened up their staff room for us and we put the bikes. But they're not used to this either, right? It's not something they're used to. So they were very kind, very helpful. They put us bikes in the staff room. They said, they heard our story and they're following us now. They're going to follow us and follow our journey. So, there's a story to share. All right, off we go.